This time on Watchers of Tomorrow, O'Brien reveals his tragic backstory.
Hello, welcome to Watchers of Tomorrow, the sci-fi review and critique show that is arming for war, but really we're just studying some shit. Don't worry about it. My name is Gep, and I'm joined, as always, by my friend and co-host, Dr. Izix.
Hi!
And this week, we have The Wounded, which I guarantee you don't know what that is by name.
Well, I do because, well, I'm that kind of nerd, but, the normal people probably not, no.
I barely remembered this for some reason. I like this episode. I enjoy this episode. I looked at the episode and the list of things were coming up. I was like, what in the hell is that?
Well, is someone hurt? Not physically.
Yeah, emotionally.
Yes.
Ooh.
Mentally, perhaps, in various ways. There's a reason I started the cold open with a tragic backstory thing.
It's not even mostly about his tragic backstory.
No, not really. It's part of it, but not like the main central thing of what's going on.
Yeah, we have tragic backstories all around.
I think the only person who doesn't get a tragic backstory this time is Riker, because he's kind of just more there. Same with Data. Is Geordi even in this?
I don't think so.
Huh.
He's just doing engineering stuff. I mean, he's in it for like one voice line. He has one voice line.
So he got paid, at least. Good.
Yeah. So this episode was written by like 4 damn people. I hate it when they do that.
Story buys, teleplays, executive story person, editors.
At least Stuart Chirano and Sarah Chirano at the time were a husband and wife writing team, so I have to talk about them both at once.
Yes, go for him.
Stuart was mainly an actor. He was in Friday the 13th Part 2 and co-wrote all of these various Star Trek episodes with his wife, and that is the only thing he ever wrote. Sarah continued writing after Star Trek and did series like House MD, X-Files, and Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
As well as something called The Unit.
Yeah, that's something.
Just either something involving like some sort of military related thing maybe, or something very dirty.
Yeah, is it sexual or is it military or is it just like that one hotel room or an apartment?
I'm looking at the I guess the photo thing for it, and I think it probably involves some guys with guns, but you never know.
Could still be sexual.
Yeah. Yeah, so some people are really into gunplay, so,
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Was also written by somebody called CY. They have a name, but their credit is Cy. Cy Chermak, who's a seasoned writer and producer. Started his career at 17 and worked as the head writer for Rodney King Detectives in like the 50s. I kind of know this show. I've heard of it. I've heard
Rocky King.
Rocky King? Oh yeah, Rocky King. I thought that was a typo. Anyway.
Nope.
Yeah, Rocky King Detective.
Rodney King is something else entirely.
I know Rodney King. I don't know Rocky King. Sometimes I just assume I made a typo because this thing autocorrects like nothing.
Cy worked on 50 episodes of that, and it's a show where Rocky King calls his wife. Case closed, Mabel. I'm coming home.
Also produced Chips, that has that weird lowercase in the middle for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And Kolak, the Night Stalker, which is about a reporter and not a supernatural thriller. So I was disappointed by that, honestly.
Yes, though there is a Kolchak Demon in the Mummy, the TV movie apparently spinoff, I guess.
Okay, so there's something, at least.
It might be spooky, I don't know.
Then finally the teleplay was adapted by Jerry Taylor, who's a producer in the show for this time period, and so shows up a lot.
Yep, and they'll be hanging out through Voyager, so.
Now we have some guest stars. I'm not going to list all of the guest stars because there's a couple people who get like 2 lines. including two of the main ones who I probably should be naming, but I'm not.
This is random background person we mentioned and talked to once. Okay, moving on.
So Bob Gunton plays Captain Benjamin Maxwell. He's a prolific actor, played the original John Perron in Evita. Not Perron. It's John Perron in Evita. I should know that because it's Evita Perron. She has a whole song.
Yes. And he's been in tons and tons of stuff since the 80s.
Yeah, he was on Broadway for a while. He got to do a Sweeney Todd revival in '89, which sounds like fun. He played Nixon in a recreation of the Watergate tapes, and he got to play JFK in something, so he's just like a lot of presidents.
Yeah, he's one of those, this guy kind of looks like a politician sort of face is going on. But you're missing out on one of his more famous roles, Demolition Man.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering if you were going to say an actual famous one or not.
The Shawshank Redemption, where he was the warden.
Yeah, he's probably best known as Warden in Shawshank Redemption. But, we'll get to Demolition Man eventually.
Yes, as well as the Glimmer Man. He's apparently in that. I've never heard of that before.
No, but it's shiny.
Yeah, it's glimmery.
Glimmery.
Yeah, Family Law, The Pact, Judas, Monk, Numbers, The Batman, various other things from here until infinity, I suppose.
Then we have
Gettysburg Address.
Again, second time on the show. Not last time. Yep. Last time for a minute though, until we get to another series.
Yes, this is second tryout, I suppose, or maybe third at this point.
So we have Mark Alamio, who's playing Gul Masset, who is not Gul Dukat, but you would be forgiven for being confused.
Yes. Molset's the one with the sort of beard thing going on, which
spent
is like the only
an hour trying to figure out if that beard style has a name. I couldn't find it. I swear I've seen it on at least one old-timey historical douchebag photo, but I could not find a name for whatever this is called.
I screwed up shaving and I'm going to go with this.
Yeah.
Look.
Anyone who hasn't seen, he has no mustache and no mutton chops and no middle of the beard and no side of the beard. He has exclusively the tiny part of the beard that you would keep that goes from the corner of your mouth basically straight down to your chin.
So it's more up than that, I suppose. It's more the jaw line, not quite the chin.
Yeah, it doesn't go under.
Yeah,
it goes. It's from the corner of the mouth to the jawline in a small, thin, straight line, one on each side. There's no middle, and there's no mustache, and there's no side.
If you're gonna go with a weird facial hair thing, why not go all out? Like just have like a circle of some of hair coming out like in the middle of the cheek, maybe, or like one eyebrow that's like has incredibly long hair, and so like hangs down over your eye. That'd be kind of interesting. One
of these things that always gets me with these, and I know it's for actor convenience and expression and design and stuff, because, but why does everyone have to have hair anyway? These guys are lizards.
Yeah, well, the lizards have skin too.
Yeah,
but lizardy structure at
and
parts.
Boobs. Yes, they're very mammally lizards.
Well. Also, I learned from a comic, I think it was probably last year, that's where snakes keep their snacks. So whenever you see a lizard alien with boobs, that's just the ones that have the snacks.
Anyway, this is Gul Masset, who's the first Cardassian we get to see. And he also played the first modern Romulan that we got to see back in the first season. Tabak.
Yes. He also had an uncredited role previously as one of a couple aliens that was causing trouble in the first season episode. Yeah. How barbaric!
He has many guest appearances as villains in shows like Gunsmoke and The $6 Million Man. And in 1988, he did a film called The Deadpool, which I thought was funny because it has nothing to do with Deadpool. But, Deadpool's popular now, so it's funny to see the name.
It's all related in weird ways.
And later, of course, he plays one of the only two good Cardassian characters. The other guy's good, but only because he's a good double act with Wei-Un.
Yes.
Alone, neither of them is very interesting, but together.
Well, I'd argue that there's a few interesting Cardassian characters, though in terms of alignment, I think Mark Lamo's not going to be playing a good aligned Cardassian in the future.
No, I mean, I don't know if he's ever played a non-villain, like in his entire career.
Well, I guess if you have those cheeks, you do what you got.
Then Rosalind Chow returns as Keiko O'Brien. We talked about her a couple of episodes ago, so you can listen to that. If you're skipping the movies, it was 1 episode ago, and if you're not skipping the movie, it was 2 episodes ago. But you can figure it out. It's fine.
Yes.
Depends on which playlist you're on. If you're listening to this on the YouTube podcast feed.
Are you doing the series go through or movie episodes exclusively and then the rest? Everything will be changing depending on your perspective. It's like relativity, man.
And then somebody who I never mentioned as a guest star, Cole Meany, is Miles O'Brien in this episode.
Yep.
He's such a series regular, I don't bother mentioning him, but he has like a huge story arc in this, so.
Yes. So he's a bit more important than usual, and this is kind of the point where he kind of goes from sort of side recurring character to full B cast to almost a main character.
Yeah, at this point in the show, he's in the show about as much as Maria Sirtis is, since they have no idea what to do with her character anymore.
Yeah. So, maybe they could have had an episode where they just hang out together.
Yeah, they don't know if they really ever interact.
Actually, I do remember at least one episode where they interact. Disaster.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Which I think is next season. So
yeah, I think so. We need to get now we've introduced the Cardassians, and we get to have our slow decline into Star Trek being about how terrible everything is. So that's when we get to introduce Ensign Ro later.
Yes.
And then Maset has 2 aides who I don't bother to read out, but he's got 2 guys with him. I'll mention them later.
Yeah, they're played by Marco Rodriguez and Tim Winters, and also there's a random admiral in this episode.
Yeah, none of them had enough stuff for me to bother padding this episode more than it's already going to be.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise is on a mapping mission near Cardassian space. They've never bothered to mention Cardassian space or the Cardassians, but apparently they've been at war with them for a really long time until about a year ago.
Yep.
The entire series up to this point, they have been at war with the Cardassians. Nobody ever mentioned.
Yeah. I guess the Enterprise has been more geared to being close to the Romulan border and not the Cardassian one, so they're not really going to be involved in that sort of conflict, even though it's ongoing. But still.
Yeah. All the times they're like, we're a peace organization. We don't do war. And meanwhile, they're actively in a full-on war.
Yeah.
The last time Picard was here was in the Stargazer when he got chased down by a Cardassian warship. So we know it's been going on for longer than Picard has been in command of the Enterprise.
Which I suppose just kind of means it's been not like a serious war, but well, whenever we kind of run into each other, we shoot at each other for a while.
Skirmishy war.
Yeah, skirmishy.
Meanwhile...
No serious back and forth.
Meanwhile, Miles and Keiko are having breakfast. It is kelp and some sort of plankton loaf and sea berries.
If you have replicators, you could have, plankton loaf with, a steak, and they're also together with some sort of weird ice cream sort of thing.
Yeah.
In, a crystal sphere. And this would all be good.
They keep on doing this thing with the replicators where they want to maintain some level of, contemporary 90s domesticity. Yes. So, for some reason, even though cooking involves telling the computer the thing you want and then it magically appears before you, one person in the house is always doing the cooking and the other person has to eat whatever they decided.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense at all because every person in this scenario would just go to the replicator and get whatever they wanted. And also, I think it's heavily implied at different points that the replicator can impart different nutritional values into the food it's making, so you could eat ice cream for every meal and never be malnourished.
Yeah. It'd always taste the same and have this roughly the same consistency, but it's actually full of all the good vitamins and minerals your body needs.
Yeah, so Keiko says that this is very healthy, which still, like, as to the aforementioned replicator thing, doesn't make any sense to me.
Though this might be a case where people just, say things are healthy because I want you to stop complaining about this thing I'm used to.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've eaten kelp. Kelp is really good. I don't know what a plankton loaf is. I don't know if that's a real thing. I should look that up.
Plankton loaf.
Okay, the only thing that comes up when I search for plankton loaf is Star Trek and SpongeBob.
Yeah, that's not a good start here. Straight dope message board.
That wouldn't even work. Like, you'd have to filter out... Like, there is a ton of plankton, but you'd have to filter out so much other sea junk in there to get just the plankton. You'd never get something edible in that situation.
It might be one of those cases where you would, like, grow it artificially in a vat sort of thing, so you have full control of what goes in and can...
Yeah, but that sort of misunderstands what plankton is.
Yeah.
Like, plankton is sort of a generic term for all manner of, like, microscopic or near microscopic sea life that ranges from, like, full-on, like, microscopic plants to just... like baby fish, just like very, very small baby shrimp and fish. It's just a massive hodgepodge of various life forms that just happen to be microscopic and swarming around the ocean at all times. Like you can't even grow that artificially. How would you do that?
Slowly?
Anyway, Miles says he appreciates being introduced to new foods. He's very diplomatic, and he's like, you've introduced me to so many new foods. I want to make you some good old home foods.
Yes. So clearly this means haggis, right?
Apparently it's potatoes and cabbage.
Oh.
And other kinds of meat.
Oh, right. Haggis is Scottish, right?
Yeah, I was going to add. Like, I was pretty sure Brian was Irish.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, everybody from that part of the world. I'll do better in the future.
Yeah, I mean, if he's bringing traditional Irish foods, he needs to bring in the good old fry shop. Fried potatoes, fried fish, fried whatever. Fried cabbage, probably.
And fried more potatoes, actually.
Yeah. Fried potatoes, stuffed in potatoes, and then fried in potatoes.
Yes. It's like going to the Iowa State Fair all over again, where everything's, instead of being deep fried, it's just normal fried.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that that's why they sell that stuff in Iowa. I think the Irish brought the potatoes and the frying with them.
Yeah, there's some Irish generally in Iowa, and Germans and Dutch in some corners, and people that insist that they're only American. Dang it!
Which is kind of interesting if you think about it. 'Cause to get accepted in North America, the potato kind of had to make this weird roundabout trip from Peru to Ireland back to the Midwest.
Yes. Humans are kind of weird in terms of how we spread crops around.
Everybody thought that, like, potatoes were poisonous for a while.
Maybe some types of potatoes, like the ones that hop out of the ground at night and chase you down. Am I thinking of something else?
Attack of the killer potatoes. And Miles reveals that his mother cooked food with her own two hands from raw meat, which, where did she get that?
Well, given in this future we have given up using animals for food, as per what we've heard from Picard previously, obviously she murdered somebody.
Yeah. I do just love that occasionally you get glimpses into this, like, future food hobbyist community.
Yes.
There seem to be farmers and ranchers and people who exist entirely to feed this niche hobbyist community of cooks.
And you gotta have your a base for the replicators too. So you get someone who produces mass amounts of a base compound, which is then rearranged by the replicators.
Yeah, it's like in Borderlands how they have to make the car and then you scan it into the thing and then it can make the car again.
Exactly.
So they're getting all flirty and lovey-dovey over potato talk when the ship is attacked and Miles has to run off to do important transporter things.
Yes.
So the Cardassians are attacking. And Picard orders them to fire on their shields and engines, which forces them to actually slow down and talk to them for a bit. Picard wants to know where they're being attacked, and Gul Macet goes, "One usually attacks one's enemies." in war.
So are we at war? Is that what's going on now? I thought that was over a year ago.
So Picard's like, hey, we just had a peace treaty. I explained this to everyone not 5 minutes ago. Did you not hear the exposition?
Through space and multiple light years, probably.
But, if there's a peace treaty, why did one of your Federation ships just destroy a Cardassian science station? And Picard has no idea what he's talking about. So he asks for some time to ask Starfleets what is happening. Of course, alternatively, they could keep shooting each other, in which case you would be at a disadvantage.
Yeah, it seems that, at least at this particular point in time, that the Federation ships kind of outmatch the Cardassian ones.
Yeah.
Which may have contributed to the war kind of lasting for so long that Federation's like, just come on, stop attacking us. And the Cardassian's like, we're going to get you.
The only thing I can assume is it's one of those, like, the Federation has way better ships, but the Cardassians have way more ships.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Because they do say something about not being prepared for an armed conflict again.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, also their entire space fleet was destroyed by the Borg like a year ago.
Yeah, so there's maybe some issues on the Federation side that, that peace treaty we figured out, was that a really convenient time in terms of our general situation? Let's not upset the balance.
So Picard contacts Starfleet and is informed that the starship Phoenix, captained by Benjamin Maxwell, did in fact attack and destroy a Cardassian station, and has since gone completely silent and refuses to answer any communication.
Well, that's suspicious. Has some alien force taken over the ship and is using it as a pirate barge now?
Could be. No one knows.
Okay.
Picard's also ordered to keep the peace by any means necessary.
All right.
If you have to start a war to keep this peace,
by all means, but don't start a war. Okay.
Picard's, of course, the only ship nearby, as is always.
Mm-hmm.
This might be one of the reasons they have trouble with the wars. They seem to have about 3 ships per sector.
Yeah, pretty much. The Federation is very spread out, and there's plenty of ships for a few sectors, but not this many.
The Cardassians have agreed to allow him to search in their territory as long as he brings delegates aboard. We also learned that O'Brien was under Maxwell's command before the Enterprise, so he'd be a good person to talk to about all this, and that'll come up later. So Gomaset beams aboard with 2 aides. Troy and Riker meet them, and they take them immediately to the captain. Not before Troy does this, double take, thought crime reaction on O'Brien. Yes. For whatever the hell he's going on. O'Brien is just, generally polite and professional. He's like, welcome aboard. I did my job. I just stand here now. And Troy just, looks back, like, what the fuck?
Wow. This guy's really pissed off. If I didn't have these powers here, I would just, think is, being a normal everyday situation here, but I do, and wow, he wants these Cardassian guys just melt or something like that.
I also kind of if you think of a first time viewer who randomly came across this episode, they never explain that Troy has empathic abilities in this episode.
Yep.
So if you don't know that, she just randomly gave this guy the stink eye for no reason.
Well, that's maybe part of her character. Also, I think it was before this point, she commented in some of the chatter with at some points we're the war's over, we're allies now. I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
Maybe Moore says, I don't trust these fuckers. Just we're allies now, we have to trust each other. So Klingon noises.
Yes, so I think I'm on with Worf in terms of the general assessment of the situation, because Troy is just completely out to lunch this episode.
Yeah, but this is the last time we'll see her, so
yeah.
I think she hangs around in the observation lounge, but this was the last thing she got to do in this episode.
Come on, writers, pick up your game. Troy can be an interesting character if you actually know how to write for her.
So they head to the observation lounge and plan their search. They want to start searching the last place they knew where the Phoenix was. And Masset goes, God, what kind of plan is that? Because he's confrontational, you see.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a better idea than starting the last place it was? Should we start a random place far away?
Yeah, would that help?
O'Brien is there to give some backstory on Maxwell. They fought together during the Cardassian War, and Maxwell's family was killed in a raid on a civilian outpost. But O'Brien firmly believes that Maxwell is not doing this for revenge. He has probably a right and good reason.
This is some interesting banter here, but also I really like how they introduce O'Brien even being into the room.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of like suddenly we pan over and he's there.
O'Brien jump scare.
Yes, we didn't establish that he was president until after half the conversation happened.
Yeah. Also another one where. You wouldn't know this is weird because he's the main character of this episode. So as far as anyone else knows.
Yes.
Also, Worf calls and they've located the Phoenix. So how's that for why are you looking in the last place they were?
Seems we're reasonable people after all.
So they leave. O'Brien and the Cardassian aides get into the turbolift together. One of the Cardassians tries to be unnecessarily nice. He's just doing some small talk. It's like, I'm also work with transporters on my ship. I'd be very interested to talk professionally about our transporter stuff. He goes I would have to ask my commanding officer about that. So fuck off.
Yeah, you're being polite, you bastard.
And then we are about to have a drink in your bar. Would you like to join us? He's I don't have to. The captain didn't tell me I have to.
Bye.
So on the bridge, they're heading towards the Phoenix, but it's not answering them. Set suggests that they could give the Cardassians the Phoenix's exact location and their transponder codes to find them, and then they could intercept them. But no, that's not happening.
Yes, you'll be able to find them and maybe fiddle with them, and it could be a disaster, and we lose a ship, and that'd be terrible.
It's objectively a bad idea. We're trying to keep a peaceful situation. I'm not going to send a bunch of what this guy obviously considers to be enemy warships after him. Back at the O'Briens, Miles is serving up potato casserole. Keiko is dubious. I am also dubious. This is not a main dish.
But, if we have replicators that, can provide any healthy alternatives to the chemistry that just has the same taste and texture as the food that you enjoy, maybe this is the one O'Brien likes the most. Yeah,
the thing is, as someone who does enjoy this kind of food, eating that and exclusively that would get old in 3 bites. You would stop wanting to eat that. You usually have that and another thing and maybe a side salad or something similar, or a stuffed cabbage, something else. You don't just eat mashed potatoes.
Unless you're kind of an unusual person, and that might just be O'Brien. We don't know. We're still establishing his main character vibes here.
So he starts singing an old song that he used to sing with Captain Maxwell, and then starts musing about how weird it is that people dislike Cardassians because the war is over, and I fought in the war, and I think Cardassians are fine. And Keiko just, really?
Yeah, seriously?
Really? You don't have any problems at all. You're fine. You think the situation is perfectly normal, and you hold no feelings about the war whatsoever. He's no, war's over.
Yeah, Keiko, this is maybe one of those red flags that's going to cause problems for the next few years in terms of your relationship with your husband.
Yeah. Well, good
luck.
As far as I can tell, these people never spoke to each other before the wedding. Ever.
Of course, yes.
They've never even shared a meal together before they were married.
Because in the future of Star Trek, you meet someone and then instantly have to get married.
Have you ever dated anyone where you have had absolutely zero idea about their food preferences? Full on?
Well, not eventually, but at the start, maybe.
Yeah, maybe when you first meet, but by date 3 or 4, you have some idea of the kind of food they like.
Yeah, and definitely in my case, they know sort of my food vibes in general, because I have a pretty limited palate. So it's I'm probably not going to enjoy going to a Japanese restaurant with you. Sorry.
These people don't know what they eat until they get married.
Maybe for both of them, their cultures of the future, there's a strong taboo against eating with unmarried people of the opposite gender.
Yeah, so all those people you see in 10 Forward are married.
Yes. Or alternatively, enjoying the taboo.
Yeah, 10 Forward, we don't understand bars in the future. It's basically porn. This is basically the Federation equivalent of a bathhouse.
In Enterprise, we run into those one aliens. They're like, yeah, we only eat privately because, that's sex to be eating in the presence of somebody else. So clearly the Federation has adopted this as part of their cultural, integration policies here. And as such, it's like, well, humans, well, they're going to follow the traditions now, but they're still going to have, like, kinky sides.
Yeah, because we're humans, we have to do sexy things. Like, humans are one of the horniest animals.
Yes.
Back on the bridge, Picard and Massette watch a few dots, and those dots are apparently the Phoenix and a Cardassian supply ship. Massette goes, "How do you know that's a supply ship?" He's like, "It's fine, don't worry about it." It's like, "You can read our transponder codes, you little fuck."
Well, hey, there's more dots over here.
I see why, like, this is why he's so good. I don't necessarily agree that Ducat is, like, the best character ever written or anything, but, like, this guy is, like, so good at playing polite indignance.
Yes. Perfect.
So Massette again points out that they could give him the Phoenix's exact location, and he could have his ships intercept them before the Enterprise can. Picard relents before Maxwell is able to destroy the supply ship, and they watch as a Cardassian warship attacks the Phoenix, then is destroyed, then the supply ship is destroyed.
So, in other words, by making the Phoenix more vulnerable by directing a Cardassian warship to, basically attack it, instead of that actually helping the situation, that just got a few hundred more people killed.
Yes.
Huh.
You basically, like, 12 times the number of people died than would have otherwise.
So maybe, this is a terrible move on multiple different dimensions.
Also, right after this, immediately following this discussion about how the Enterprise isn't going to get there in time and you need to send in this other ship that obviously is no match for any Federation ship in any regard. How long until we get there? It's like 30 minutes at Warp 4. Go to Warp 9. Why were you not doing that?
That's a good question.
Why were you going so slow? Warp 4, as we established in Enterprise, too, Warp 4 is not fast enough to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Warp 4 is basically crawling. You're barely making it out of the solar system at Warp 4. What are you doing?
Warp 1 is like, we can go to another star system. It'll take a few years, but we can get there. Warp 2 is like, well, okay, so we can go to a more distant star system in a few years. It scales up, sort of logarithmically, I guess.
Yeah.
And so when you get to Warp 4, it's like, we'll get out of this solar system maybe in a few days, maybe. Like, next star system? Yeah.
It's like that thing where, like, yes, you were able to break the light speed boundary. That's incredibly impressive and complicated physics that, as far as we know, is completely impossible and would take a complete change in the way that we understand physics and the universe in order to achieve that at all. Comparatively, though, not entirely that useful because it's still going to take you 4 years to get anywhere.
Yes. So you have to go multiple times the speed of light to, have actual, we can hop between star systems in any reasonable amount of time.
And, like, you can get to Pluto in, like, 20 minutes, but why would you want to do that?
You look at it, see its big heart.
Yeah, like, that's cool. You basically have even more expensive space tourism. Katy Perry would make a song about Pluto.
All right, let's do this.
So Picard goes to O'Brien in the transporter room. He wants to know about Maxwell as, like, a man. O'Brien idolizes him almost as much as he idolizes Picard. He goes, like, I've served with the two best people in Starfleet. And Picard's like, brown noser.
Would have been funny then, later. It's like, I served with the two best captains of Starfleet. And the other one is Jellicoe or something like that.
So Maxwell was, of course, devastated when his family was killed, but he never showed it because he had a very healthy way of dealing with emotions, which is to be smiling and joking all the time. Which
I guess fits with the Roddenberry vision of how we should be mourning in the future.
Yeah,
so
works out.
Yep.
Picard thinks that Orion doesn't like Cardassians very much. He's like, no, I like them fine. Why would you think that?
Yeah, they're okay, and I'm totally not upset about anything. Why did you ask?
Then he has a nice little speech. Like, when someone's been angry for a very long time, you get used to it until you can't really remember having ever felt any other way.
That's maybe something to remember going forward.
Even he doesn't remember that by the time you get to Picard.
Right.
So later, O'Brien's in 10 forward, and he sees that Cardassian aide from before who was trying to talk to him. So he asks if he can join him to apologize for how rude he was in the turbolift. Then he starts talking about the massacre at that outpost where the kids died. Then the aide knows that was a terrible, terrible mistake. It haunts my people because we had bad communication about that being a military stronghold for a mass offensive against us, and it was a horrible, horrible tragedy. And O'Brien just ignores this completely.
Well, to a certain degree, O'Brien's probably like, yeah, sure, you might be telling yourself that, or maybe someone told you that was what happened, but I'm not going to believe that. I'm going to go back to me.
So O'Brien continues that he was with some survivors when 2 Cardassians came at him, and he stunned one, and then he was tackled. And then a woman threw him a phaser, and he used it without having time to look at it, and it was on maximum, and the guy just vaporized before his eyes.
Well, I suppose at least the civilians are going to survive here, and you're haunted by this. Oh,
yes, I'd never killed anything before. And then he stands up and goes, I don't hate you. I hate what you made me become. And he storms out, and the poor guy looks so confused.
This Glidendaro, who's the particular Cardassian he's been talking to, seems kind of young here, and so it might be a case of this guy signed up 3 weeks ago and is happy to be on a spaceship somewhere.
Yeah, what's going on? He's been going out of his way to be nice in this situation, and this guy just dumped all of his war trauma on you and ran out.
Well, this is awkward.
Well, on the bridge, the other aide is being manhandled by Worf because he was looking at information on the ship's weapons systems. The aide claims that I was just looking at the computer. I didn't know what was on it.
Oh, is that case? Then why would you have all these files open?
And the set goes, why were you on the computer at all? Go to your room.
Aw. Dad, go!
He tells Picard that the man will be punished when they get back, and Picard goes, no, the matter's closed. It's fine, whatever you want to do, because we can't let any individual guy threaten the peace. And Set goes, I see now that you too are a man of peace. Together, we will do peace.
Cool. Then let's piece it up together.
Yeah. Then they intercept the Phoenix, and they have Maxwell brought on board. He is a very easygoing guy. He compliments Riker and chats up O'Brien about old times, and then goes to meet Picard. Maxwell's very glad that they sent Picard out here because Picard isn't some bureaucrat. This guy's speech is copy pasted from some of the stuff from Kirk.
Yeah.
You know what it's really like out here. You're not just some bureaucrat.
So in some ways, this is like Picard meeting a version of Captain Kirk.
Yeah, essentially. Maxwell claims that the station he attacked was not, in fact, a research outpost, but was a military staging base within striking distance of 3 different Federation sectors. And the supply ships are carrying weapons and armaments. Picard wants documentation or proof or an explanation for why he decided to just do this without going up the proper chain of command and just deciding single-handedly to start a war. And Maxwell goes, it smells like a bureaucrat's office in here, asking questions.
Well, yeah, because, being able to answer, questions might be useful when you get to your court-martial. Or maybe we could, not have one if we maybe answer the questions in a useful way.
I think we need to show this entire section to people now, because Maxwell is going off the whole time. Yeah. It's I had to act. I had to do something before it was too late. Why?
Why? Yeah.
What was going to happen?
Why did you say, yeah.
What bad thing was going to, what exactly was going to occur that was so urgent here? Why did you need to do that? Why couldn't you tell anyone?
Yeah, connect some dots here. You have dots that you can connect, right? No, you're just going to rant and rave? Well, that's not good enough. You need to, prove why you are doing what you are doing in order for anyone to believe that you did the correct thing. And if not, you're just, violating a treaty for no reason.
And also, none of this matters, because anything the Cardassians are or are not doing is not the point. You made an unprovoked attack against someone we have a military treaty with, so you're going back to the closest starbase with me.
Yeah, so, pack up your bags, we're heading out.
He says it'll allow Maxwell to retain command rather than towing the Phoenix back in disgrace.
Oh, that would be an interesting look.
They're men of honor,
It's we're going to tow you, so you're going to tractor beam us? Yeah, it actually sounds awesome. But what about our crew? Well, they can just hang out.
They can
it's
just
fine.
sit around, have a day off.
Yeah.
However, on the way back to the Federation, Maxwell takes a hard turn to chase after another Cardassian supply ship. They chase him, but since they can match speeds, they can't overtake the Phoenix before they arrive. Picard asks if the supply ship is armed and can defend itself, but they can't scan it because it's using a high-energy subspace field that prevents scans.
That's kind of weird. Huh.
Maxwell tells Picard to board the transport and see that everything he said is correct. Picard, of course, tells Maxwell that he's going to do everything he can to stop him from starting another war, including firing on him.
Oh, Well, you're a good Federation guy. You never fire on one of our own ships.
Then O'Brien, who's here to give tactical advice, asks if he can beam over to the Phoenix because he knows transporter magic.
Yes, and for this particular ship, it can work, but only once.
Yeah. It's like, I know that they use
things.
a high-energy something or other thingy that gives me a tiny window and I can beam myself aboard because I'm the transporter man, you see? And maybe if I can talk to him face-to-face, we can settle this.
You know, O'Brien has technical powers that he's revealing this season.
So Picard agrees, and then a few minutes later, O'Brien walks into Maxwell's office, much to his surprise.
Don't I have, like, a crew that would, like, intercept you before you got
The
here?
crew probably thinks this guy's just as crazy as anyone else at this point.
They're, like, you know, half a weird order away from just mutinying themselves.
Yeah, they're sitting around going like, we're just staring down the barrel of the Federation's most advanced and powerful ship.
Yeah, this is terrible.
Well, O'Brien tells him that Picard is 100% serious about firing on him to prevent a war. And then they just reminisce about old times, like a guy that was cool but then died. And then they sing that song about going to war and how shitty it is.
Yeah, let's try not to die this time, all right?
And Maxwell goes, I'm not going to win this time, am I? So he surrenders. They head back again, with Maxwell confined to quarters this time, so he can't do anything else weird.
Then, surprise, his tactical officer takes over and does something else completely weird.
O'Brien tells Picard he's still proud to have served with Maxwell, even though things turned out really bad. Massat goes, what misplaced loyalty for humans.
Yeah, it's like, no, actually, humans are highly distrustful creatures, so having any sort of loyalty whatsoever is, like, kind of unique, so, you know, don't discredit it.
Picard says that if Maxwell couldn't find a place for himself in peace, then we can pity him, but we shouldn't forget him.
Let's, like, you know, give him a nice retirement, and he'll have to, you know, do the whole court-martial thing probably, but once he gets done through that and through whatever sentence he has to carry out, you know, he can hang out in a nice retirement spot. I hear New Zealand's pretty nice.
And also, by the way, Massat, he was completely right. And those aren't research stations. And the only reason a transport ship would be running a high energy field that presents scans is if you had something that you didn't want me to scan.
So, you know, I see through your whole game here, just like, you know, our buddy here did. And just because I'm going to uphold the treaty doesn't mean that we're not on to you, man.
You're not as sneaky as you think you are.
Yes.
The Messiah goes,
like,
well, if you believed him, why did you defend the transport and not just board it the way that he said? This is because we're maintaining the peace here, and if I'd boarded the ship, we wouldn't be having this very pleasant conversation.
So, you know, I believe in this peace, so, you know, watch yourself.
And that's it. They leave, presumably to go do terrible Nazi stuff elsewhere.
Yeah, we haven't really established the Cardassians as a fully totalitarian, nightmare state yet, but, we're getting a little of the vibe.
And that's it. It's got everything. It's got PTSD. It's got O'Brien torturing himself for shit.
Yeah, it's got weird food stuff.
Which is just and Japanese
drinks
food at this point.
Yeah.
Like, plankton loaf is made up, but, like, the rest of the stuff, this is just Japanese food. What are we doing? It's not that weird. Stop it.
Well, I was scrolling through things. I did spot a recipe for a meatloaf with some sort of plankton stuff involved. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe. Okay.
So I'm not sure how that works, though.
See, you get such a weird circle here. People in Japan tend to eat like fish or something lighter for breakfast than we generally do. So what the fuck this is for breakfast, I have no idea. But you could say, well, they don't eat as much fish in the future because of the lack of meat stuff. But then O'Brien's mom, had butchered meat from somewhere. You're telling me they can't get a fish?
So fish are protected. Your neighbors, on the other hand, are not.
We've developed that thing from Hitchhiker's Guide that wants to be eaten and is capable of saying so.
Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, this part is pretty good. Over here, maybe?
Might I recommend my liver? I've been force-feeding myself for weeks.
Alternatively, there's some weird problem, impacting Ireland specifically, where it's completely overrun with some, invasive species. And it's we don't care if you kill all of them because there'll still be more somehow. So, go at it.
Yeah, it's triple meat.
Yes. Which would kind of solve some things. Anyway. But yeah, war sucks. And yeah, it leaves lasting scars that are maybe not of the physical variety, though there are plenty of those as well. So I suppose I suspect neither of us have any experience in the actual combat zones.
No.
So there's not a whole lot we can maybe personally speak on of that. Though I do know several folks who have been in the military before. And each one kind of has different experiences and comes out with different sort of impacts to their... I'm hesitant to say personality. It's more of their totality, you could almost say, because there's these, the parts of them that are still, them that was before they, got into those situations, but now there's these extra complications to things that impact how they are going to be interacting with the world, how they're going to be seeing the world, and how they're going to be able to deal with things like, stress of various sorts. And, it is a tragedy. And it's also not something we fully understand real well, because once again we run into the problem of psychology and things like that. Kind of likes to read, go all in on certain concepts, especially earlier last century, and then kind of go, wait, we didn't know that the hell we're doing.
Well, we went into a particular problem as we've talked about a few years ago, because we did PTSD on one of the original series episodes.
Oh.
And we run into a particular problem when you're talking about the American military, especially because we like to have disposable people in America. And so we aren't really doing that much to try to rehabilitate or get people back into normal society or do anything after you spend a long time teaching people, not only how to kill people without thinking about it, but then putting them in incredibly stressful situations where they may or may not have to do that.
Yes.
And especially with a lot of modern wars, which I've heard various people describe the complete ambiguity of anything you're supposed to be doing and whether anybody is a combatant or a civilian, and how you may have just killed somebody who was just taking a damn walk somewhere.
Are you in a position where you can feel justified for what you did, or is it going to be forever there to haunt on your conscience because it might have just been some guy?
And we don't do anything to deal with these situations. Partially because we recruit the military in the U.S. from historically marginalized populations almost exclusively. Mm-hmm. So we don't care if they become useful members of society later. They get used up and spit out, and then we don't care what happens to them after that, even though we keep going on and on about how much we do care about it. But because we have to keep going on and on about how much we do care about it, admitting that anybody who was ever in the military is having a bad time is counter to our national military mythos, that it's a grand heroic thing that is always grand and heroic and could never have any bad things associated with it ever.
Yeah, we seem to care the most about veterans when it's time for a certain type of fundraising that may or may not actually help them, because there are a number of those over the years that have turned out to be scams. Or if it's a rich white guy, probably conservative, who's running for office.
Yeah, in which case those people were usually high enough up the chain that they didn't have to do anything too, bad.
Or did do something bad and, don't care. Yes, I'm implying that DeSantis is a terrible person that, probably did some war crimes. Anyway.
Well, there's different ways of dealing with it. Like if you can convince yourself that nothing bad happened, then you might turn into somebody like DeSantis.
It's like, oh yeah, you know, sure, I killed all these people over there, and but it was a good thing, really, and you know, never mind that I'm going to keep thinking about people in these sort of capacities of you know, black and white, good guys and bad guys, 100% moving forward, and that kind of eliminates my ability to have like empathy for people that are anyway slightly different than myself. You know, that's not a problem at all. Vote for me.
I do think that this story in particular is a very, very interesting time capsule into the way that we were thinking about this stuff in the early 90s, as opposed to obviously the way we're talking about and thinking about these things now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we aren't exactly dealing with PTSD yet. Like, we later deal with PTSD with O'Brien.
Yes.
But at this point, we're dealing with historic bigotry. Like, it's not that he's having trouble in his day-to-day life or doing anything terrible or having emotional problems because of what happened to him in the war. He just doesn't like this group of people in a kind of racist way because of the war. And obviously in the 90s, we're never going to have another war again. You know, America has hard won the Cold War. There's not going to be another war. You know, history is over, etc. So
there might be some policing actions, but you know, these are going to be in countries completely unrelated to anything you'll ever have to worry about. So, you know, it's fine.
Yeah, well, we're not going to talk very much about the Gulf War because no one wanted to know about that.
And it was won in like 10 minutes anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly totally what happens. There were some Patriot missiles and a bombing of some trucks on a road at one point. And, you know, then, we have to deal with the burning oil wells. And that was everything.
Yeah, you got some nice, pretty news footage of burning oil wells. That was exclusively everything that happened.
Yes, and there wasn't, you know, a more complicated campaign. There wasn't, you know, the diplomatic side of like building a coalition against the Iraqi, you know, invasion of Kuwait. There wasn't anything involving, say, what happened before then, where we kind of gave them kind of permission to do so. But you know, there's a you know, a lot of you know, stuff that's left out of the popular mythos of you know, especially that conflict, and well, kind of anyone that's gone forward, and it's a little frustrating. And yes, there's a certain level of information limitation in order to protect troop movements, etc., etc. But there is still a certain amount of after the fact. We never go back to sort of evaluate what actually happened so that it can be understood in a wider context for the general population. In other words, our news reporting sucks.
Yeah, it does. We also like had a bigger thing happen that kind of blew any historical reckoning out of that about that ever happening out of the water.
Are you talking about the contract with America?
Well, I think that something that is continually surprising and interesting to me about these 90s episodes of any TV is how remarkably pre-9/11 they so obviously are.
Yeah.
Because I think even the ending, I think that there's one other thing that's interesting on the way that they deal with O'Brien's bigotry. But very specifically with this one, the ending is unimaginable now. Any modern TV show would have put our hero crew, anybody that we're following and are supposed to think of as the protagonists, in Maxwell's position. Mm-hmm. They would have been the ones who discover that there's a secret plot to do a war crime or something, and they single-handedly have to go take care of it, and then they're questioned and nobody believes that it was going to happen, and then they force them to see the proof, and then they're vindicated. It's so unimaginable to think of anyone now going, well, yeah, you were right. They are arming themselves for war, but you still shouldn't have done that. That was still bad and wrong, and it does not, in fact, vindicate your actions.
Yeah, it reminds me of that one time in a political philosophy class. I forget the exact question. It's like, yeah, in this situation, if this is all the information you have, you do it, but then you turn yourself in because you broke the law to do it. And everyone was a little confused by all that. It's like, No, we still live in a society where there are certain rules we have put together in order to, make society like exist, and just sort of willy-nilly ignoring them because of the convenience of the moment is kind of how you destroy the cohesiveness and fundamental structure of the society you're living in and that you claim to protect. So, it's like, you're going to do this thing. Well, you might feel fully justified to do it, but there are going to be consequences, and not the I saved the day sort.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about laws later, because that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, I don't remember if I was talking specifically about laws in these are the ones that exist in our specific society, or more of these are generally, considered rules of society sort of things there in that particular question. It was a number of years ago, like a couple decades, so, I don't remember all the specifics. I don't remember people's reactions, so.
Also very much depends on your societal understanding of something like that, whether post hoc justification means that you were correct for doing the thing or not.
Yeah, and but I suppose my particular answer was that you were internally feeling justified, but society externally says no, and at the end of the day, that external society is the one that's going to be able to mete out justice on you for any violation of the rules. So in other words, post hoc justifications shouldn't get you out of jail.
In that argument, it's not a fact. It doesn't seem like it's really a question of should or shouldn't get you out of the jail. It won't get you out of jail.
And I suppose a similar sort of thing is, stuff like, search warrants. There are, certain requirements that need to be met for searches to be legal. And, if you just invite the police in and say, yeah, have a look around, it's fine, then of course they can, arrest you for whatever they run across. But if you're like, no, this is my home, go away, and they don't have a warrant, well, if they then break into your home and then start, finding all sorts of evidence for crime, that's going to be inadmissible in court generally. So, that kind of, rules like that exist in order to have the justice system be fair and isn't just going to be a bunch of people running around going, aha, I'm going to break into your house and grab things and claim that this is evidence of a crime. Instead, we have a little bit more limitations on what's police can do, and that means we're a little bit more secure in our persons and effects and all that sort of stuff, and that's kind of nice.
Only marginally.
And that's how it should work, right?
Yeah.
Fortunately, in the real world, things are a little more complicated.
I don't think there's very many limitations on what police can do, actually.
And unfortunately, in terms of what they actually do versus what actually holds up in court, these are two different things. And well, sometimes you also get judges who are like, I don't give a crap if your rights are being violated. I want to have convictions on my record so I can run for some other office maybe. And that's terrible. And a whole different issue, really.
Yeah. That's why we don't have time to get into this, because there's a massive amount of issues in laws. Laws are only as good as the people who enforce them. Yes. So they're actually mildly fundamentally useless in a real world situation.
You need effectively folks that are willing to enforce those laws and be reasonable about it. So there is one thing in this particular episode, though, that we've not really touched upon at all. Well,
is it the dumb hats?
Well, there's that, of course. But I was going to say, before this episode, what is the big conflict that came most recently before this episode that wasn't something like Grenada?
Don't know, from 1991. Well,
you're going to have to go back a little bit because, Reagan sending, bombing runs off to Lebanon or whatever is, it's just Reagan being Reagan to a certain degree. That's also awful. But we're talking about big conflict that lasts years and has, a draft involved, and, hundreds of thousands of people are getting pulled into to get sent off to a foreign land. And, There's like protest songs written about it.
Now, are you saying that the last thing that happened was Vietnam?
Well, in terms of pop culture, yes. And so there's
nothing notable happened between 1970 and 1990.
In terms of what counts as a war, you might as well say that, actually. And it's very much a case of, there is a lasting, I guess, grudge that a certain segment of the population of the United States had for, quote, losing that conflict, even though it was really kind of lost by even going in there in the first place, which, oddly enough, feels like something going on right now. Anyway, but this sort of weird resentment was sort of stoked and cultivated by certain political elements in order to, one, get people scared of the Soviet Union and communism and all that, and rah rah the USA, we're never gonna lose again, baby, sort of stuff there, and as well as the sort of general idea that we're the United States, we don't lose just on principle. So this is an insult. This is a personal insult to me and everything that I believe in, that we didn't go in there and absolutely murder everyone. And it cultivates a certain level of bigotry, which this kind of episode kind of it hits upon. But that's not really kind of the main core of it. It is more a jingoistic, people outside our borders, are in general less than us. They are not as worthy of existence, and so you get a certain section of the population who are, when offered the opportunity for other people, of course, to go off to fight wars, they're all for it. And this sort of, as they say, hawkish avenue of thought has really sort of metastasized at this point in the American sort of body politic, and it's very much led grew in terms of its awfulness, and kind of primed up for when 9/11 did happen. It's like, okay, now we're gonna go do fights that make no sense whatsoever, and we're gonna totally believe this guy about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and and if you are questioning this at all, then that means you're a traitor to our country and are un-American and should have all your rights taken away because you're just as bad as these people in foreign lands.
Which I do think is kind of interesting and notable that they never, I don't think throughout much of the series that I can remember, they never really have a war that anybody wins. I think you have to do it for, the Dominion War, because it was the big conflict for DS9, so you have to get to the thing there. But they always have this, we were in a war and then we had a treaty. Like, how we got the treaty is sort of unimportant. Diplomacy happened, and then we had a treaty.
Like, we finally sat down. One of the things about treaties, though, is that people are going to come to the negotiating table when they have a reason to. If there is ongoing fighting and you feel that you're winning, then why go to the negotiating table? Mm-hmm. If you are feeling like that, if you go to the negotiating treaty and you're in a position of weakness, you're going to lose something major. So you're going to try to resist being, doing that, and going to keep trying to fight until you get to a better position before you go and sue for peace. Alternatively, you see the other side of the conflict as an existential threat to your very existence, and you view any going to the negotiating table as them basically they're just going to give you an ultimatum to completely surrender, and then you're going to be exterminated after the fact. So why bother even going to negotiating table in that case? And there are various conditions and things like that that could change to get you out of these particular sort of avenues here. And some of them are minor things like, oh yeah, back in the day, I'm in war with the king of this country over here. They just happen to be my cousin, and well, maybe this war is getting on a little long, and I'm tired of fighting. So hey, just want to call it over and go back to everything was peachy keen. All right, okay, we'll give you some peasants, I guess. That works. Okay, fine. But in the more modern day, things get a little bit more complicated, and would be probably even more so in Star Trek times. It's like, well, now we're talking about whole planets here. What do you do then?
Which I think is what makes it kind of interesting that, like, who won a thing is very important for our conception of history, but it is trying to be very explicitly not for theirs.
Yeah.
You're not mad at the Cardassians because they won or created a political insult or whatever. It's just because, war can engender resentments, generally.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think it's very interesting that they introduce O'Brien's problems as, like, something that you're supposed to ignore. He spends so much of the episode going like, well, of course I don't hate these guys. I don't have any ill will towards them. The war's over, so everything's fine.
It's fine. Totally.
Which is kind of a way to... It's definitely a way that some people with implicit biases try to ignore them. But it's very underrepresented in media because you're supposed to have the, like, well, of course I'm racist towards these guys. Who wouldn't be? And then maybe they have, like, a big turnaround or something.
Yeah, and it's, to a certain degree, having it be at all subtle can cause problems due to low media literacy issues. But at the same time, people being bad at media literacy there isn't really the showrunner's fault.
What's also kind of interesting is I think we have started misunderstanding what subtle means.
Yeah.
Because, like, I would very much argue that this is not subtle. Like, he's basically just saying it outright. Every single person in O'Brien's life in this episode is like, well, you're, like, fairly obviously and openly bigoted towards Cardassians, right? It makes sense. You were in the war. There can be feelings. It's like, no, of course not. Yeah, sure. If you need to tell yourself that, buddy.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious that you're in denial here. Anyway, more kelp.
So I do think there's something to be said for obvious, but still, like, it's not, like, it's definitely not subtle, but it's not gone to, here's an obviously evil character that you can hate. I think the thing is that we've been confusing nuance for subtlety.
Yeah.
Like, here's a person that you're obviously not supposed to hate or think badly of, and he has a bigoted mindset, and that's bad, and we're going to say it's bad.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, let's not be bigoted, okay?
Yeah, that would be nice. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck nowadays.
Yeah. So we can at least do our best, right? And we can urge others to evaluate their biases, and and sometimes it does admit, it does require admitting that, dang, I'm doing something wrong here.
Oh, this is one of those things. This is like one of those core things for anti-racism, as I understand it from reading things. Don't try not to be bigoted. You are bigoted. Like, it's just impossible to not be. Everyone is. We're raised with it. It's steeped in our entire culture. It's like, you need
Drips
to
off us.
Realize when you are, understand the ways in which you are, and do everything you can to counter those internally.
Mm-hmm.
But of course you're bigoted. Trying to say you're not bigoted is one of the biggest ways to wind up like that.
Yeah. Because if you just declare yourself not bigoted, it's very much wow, you are lying to yourself as a matter of principle here. That means you're a fool. So, understand you are going to have these, biases, these bigoted, aspects to, your behavior and actions and all that. But if you are if you, it's sort of like those 12-step programs. If you admit there's a problem, you can start working on them, right?
I had to watch this thing. I had jury duty a little bit ago, and they showed this video on how to understand your unconscious biases. They call them implicit biases now, but the same thing. And one of the things they said was, think about the way that you have the first impression of someone. Would it remain the same if they were a different race or gender? It's like the kind of person who's going to sit down and go, do I just think this person is a criminal because they're not white? If they were white, would I still think they're a criminal? Like, that person doesn't need this video. And the person who does need this video doesn't think they do that.
Yep.
Who is this for?
People that just kind of didn't think about things but would like to be in one of those groups.
It's for people who think they're doing an amazing thing by showing that to people at jury selection and wasting half an hour of you sitting there.
Yeah.
Look at how good a job I did. It's like, we could have spent that money on any part of the subway and it would have done so much better.
It's a little divergent from the core topic here, but it does kind of remind me of some of the weird training one of my friends has gotten from his university job, where it's like, this makes sense, the things that you're talking about, but also the people that are going to be able to actually get something out of this are going to refuse to get something out of this. So you're kind of just wasting everyone's time with this, and I got things to grade.
Yeah, that's been the problem with all of this stuff. That's been like the fundamental scary thing about them going after all of the DEI inclusion programs and things. Because that is the most acceptable, most milquetoast, most do-nothing thing that we've come up with. The most like corporatized anti-racism bigotry agenda we could possibly come up with, and they're saying that that's too far for them. Like, that's terrifying.
You're doing this thing that does basically nothing, that might, in a weird blue moon situation actually help, but is mostly just going to be wasting people's time. And that is so offensive to us that it must be shut down and buried forever. Because it proves that, you're biased against the white people.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how somebody like that has to sit in one of those meetings and it's like, this thing is just trying to make me feel guilty. Well, I'm not going to feel guilty for being a racist. Fuck you.
And the rest of us, if we could hear their inner thoughts, could just say, well, fuck you, guy. Go away.
Well, the rest of us are sitting there hearing like, it's not okay to hate your coworker just because they're not white. It's like, yeah, who thought it was? Jesus.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible way to be thinking here. But yeah, that's really all I got here for today. I got put in running a little long already,
so we will have to see where we get with things. But yeah, it's probably time for the Galaxy's favorite game show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Galaxy's favorite game show, where they want me to watch some videos here, but I think we'll deal with the prizes for here first. The first one I had to hand out is the Good Talk prize, which goes to O'Brien and Glyn Darrow, doing the shared drinks bit as O'Brien lets on why he's really upset with the Cardassians and kind of blows off Glyn Darrow at the same time. What do they win, Geplin?
Glyn Darrow wins whatever their equivalent of a Nobel Peace Prize is. That guy just kept his cool and politeness the whole time, where O'Brien, to his face, is like, you made me a killer, you did this to me. It was like, that could have been my cousin, dude. Like,
yeah, my great cousin, that's why I joined the service. Not to get revenge, but to honor his memory and try to bring peace in the future here. It's good to meet the person who last saw him alive. Anyway, the second prize is the Chasing the Car prize. Goes to Captain Maxwell. He just ain't going to give up that pursuit of his proof, no matter how many court-martials he'll get for doing it. And also, don't ask him for proof, you bureaucrat. What does he win, Geplin?
He wins one of those WMDs that they were definitely making and definitely have. You remember that? Remember when we had to have a thin justification for war crimes?
Yeah, instead of just going in there and starting bombing and saying, yeah, we're going to totally regime change this in 48 hours.
Yeah, good old times.
Yeah. Yeah, so Maxwell, enjoy your totally real WMDs here. Our final prize is the Not Buying It prize, which goes to Picard for knowing what's really going on, but doing his duty anyway, because, he's a good fellow like that. But also letting Golmaset know that he ain't fooling nobody. Yeah, Picard will be watching, man. And Picard got the eye on you. What does he win, Kipling?
Picard wins at least one more guest spot on DS9, because I want them to make at least one interaction of Gul Dukat not being able to tick off Picard the way that he can tick off everybody else on that show, and just getting so flustered and annoyed about it.
That would have been awesome. I spotted on one of the maps in Starfleet Academy that Deep Space Nine still seems to exist in some form. Maybe it's not too late.
Well, that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Unless they renamed something else that station should have fallen. Like, frankly, that station probably should have fallen out of the sky by the time they got to lower decks.
True. But yeah, that's all the prizes we got here this week. Feel free to take us away.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us on this weird thing we do that we call the Galaxy's Favorite Game Show. Everyone's excited. Everyone's excited for next week, even if they don't know why yet, because, why would anyone remember that this immediately follows that episode?
Yeah.
The next one's really good, too. We're getting like 2 or 3 good ones in a row here.
Yeah, the next episode is like total whiplash, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're coming into like a run of like 3 of my favorite episodes in a row, and most of them are comedies.
Yeah. Or at least have comedies in some fashion. This next episode has the well-known figure of Ardra coming back to do some cool magic tricks for us.
Yeah, everybody knows Ardra.
Yeah, also known as that one guy who's in charge of Grethor.
Yeah, something lore. I'm trying to remember his name, like Kothor or something.
Yeah, something Klingon-y. Grethor being the Klingon version of, the bad place.
Where the Dishonored go when they die. The problem with trying to remember his name is they deliver it in the Klingon growl, but like drooly.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm
And Ardra is also known as a few other people, but also, the devil.
Yeah. So the next episode is The Devil's Due, where the Enterprise owes itself to the devil. Picard might have to sell his soul to Satan, but in like a sexy way, like that one comedy movie.
Oh, was that the Brendan Fraser one?
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's like doing the wishes, and it's like trying to get with this one girl. And then eventually, spoilers, it's like, I just want her to be happy. And the devil's like, fine. Yeah, Ardra. She is literally the devil. Even though we've met the devil already.
Yep, we met the devil at least once.
Yeah. So there might be some issues here. Maybe there's a mystery to be solved.
Yeah, they should just show up. It's like, wait a minute. You're not the devil. Kirk already met the devil. And you, sir, are no devil.
Yeah, for starters, you're not a satyr. I mispronounced that. And you don't live in Magus 2, so there is that. And also, we don't have Spock here practicing terrible witchcraft practices here. So
To anybody who's confused, it's one of the old animated series episodes, and you shouldn't go listen to it because we try to sing in that one. And I don't think that was a good idea.
Roll up for the mystery tour, Gepwin.
Anyway, this is one of the best, like, at least comedy-toned episodes that we get. It's everybody's favorite, and it's got some, like, crime-solving and stuff mixed in. They give Patrick Stewart a lot of fun things to do.
Yep. Include have him cause an earthquake.
Yeah, it's great. The last bit of this is like everything that you want out of Star Trek. It's like a little bit silly. It's like random legal and bureaucratic nonsense, and then Picard gets to do a big courtroom speech at the end.
Yes. So it's a good time overall, even though it's very silly.
Yeah. So next we have Devil's Due. Etc. I love one of the actors on this is credited as Devil Monster.
Yep. So as opposed to Klingon Monster.
Yeah, which might be this person credited as Feklar.
Feklar, yeah, Feklar, the guy with Grethor and all that.
I am Feklar, guardian of Grethor.
So, yeah, tune in for Ardra and Tom McGee and who else? Thad Laby as alternative Ardras as we enjoy some time with the Lord of all darkness.
Yeah, what was that? The Devil and something McGee was a movie. Remember that?
Oh, well, we're going to have to think about various devil references next time.
Yeah, that'll take a while. It's too many devil references. Too many devils. Oops, all devils.
Many devils. Next time on Watchers of Tomorrow, could it be Satan? You have been listening to Watchers of Tomorrow, a podcast on science fiction media. Find and listen to Watchers of Tomorrow on Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Digital Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Google Play, and many more places where podcasts can be found. If you enjoyed our podcast, make sure to subscribe for more. And make sure to rate your experience or leave us a review. You may find Gepwin on YouTube as Gepwin and on Pillow Fort. You may find Dr. Isix, on YouTube and Blue Sky. Music is Waveform and Mori's Principle, both by DRKRN, and Quirky Dog by Kevin MacLeod. Check out the Watchers of Tomorrow Discord channel. You may also find Watchers of Tomorrow on Tumblr. Make sure to share the experience of Watchers of Tomorrow with your friends, loved ones, enemies, alien overlords, and your doppelganger from the mirror dimension. Have a good day, and ahead, warp factor heckin' fast.